Good morning. Fong Tran. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and just a basic introduction of who you are.
So I'm originally from South Sacramento. I was born in Stockton though, but pretty much grew up in South Sac. And what I was sharing with the group earlier, I kind of grew up in a rough context where my parents had to raise us on the welfare and food stamps. But Sacramento is a big part of my identity. I grew up in a really diverse neighborhood, and I think that attributes a lot of my root beliefs in equity and social justice. So.
Okay, so to kind of go off of that, so I wanted to know what was your motivation behind your poetry, and what type of messages you want to send out?
So I think because I do a lot of writing workshops. I think the most important part is that you write for yourself. If you deviate from that, there's a lot of challenges in wanting to find the motivation to write. But I think if you always remember that you're doing this for you first, the purpose of serving others and the meaning, the purpose of serving community automatically comes thereafter. So for me, I think I write to heal myself. I write to understand. I write to learn and grow, and then essentially, that the byproduct of that is that it has an impact with other people. And I really try to go for narratives that I don't typically, I go for narratives that I would have wanted to hear when I was a kid. I would have wanted to hear I hate being Vietnamese when I was going through it, just to validate shit. There's no narratives like this on TV. There's no books that I can accessibly find, right, that validates these stories. And so in a way I continue to write in that way, the White Hipster poem was a new story or a new narrative, and I think that's what I needed to write to understand, being in San Francisco and understanding, how, there's these, white liberals that they think they're hella cool and down, but in a way I still feel microaggressions when I interact with them, and being able to, call that out and name it and learn from it and grow from it and understand, what does this all mean, right? And pass along that message to others and share and have discussions. I think the beauty behind art is that, it's not about art is just a reflection of culture and society. And so it's supposed to start a conversation, not to be the definite source of knowledge, but catalyze more dialogue and conversations, because that's how people grow and build community, is through conversation. So.
What do you think it means to be an Asian American artist?
So I thought about this, and I think at the end of the day, I take being an Asian American artist as privilege, and just like the way I perceive being college educated is a privilege, just the way I think being a director of student activities is a privilege. It's just a matter of being older and having power, and it comes with privilege. And I think of it in that way. I'll pull out my phone because there's a really great quote that your question triggered that I wanted to say. So the quote is by Toni Morrison, and she says that this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no place for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. This is how civilizations heal. And I think that's a really good way of articulating the importance of what artists do. Me being Asian American, is just as essential to that. But there's no particular thing that I think about when thinking myself as Asian American and being an artist. I think just artists need to exist because they are so necessary in reflecting our culture and reflecting kind of the pulse of what's going on, so we can heal from it, so we can move forward from it. It's always been an image or a picture or a poem that has helped shift people's minds. Politics has its place, but art has its own very powerful place. Before Prop 8 and all kind of the equity stuff around LGBT happened, there was cultural shifts around how we understand acceptance around LGBTIQ identity, right? And that impacted policy thereafter. So culture is essential, and artists are the shepherds of that culture.